Alright, so as we get started today, I'm annoyed. Gosh dang it. Am I so... Technical difficulties. Fucking always technical difficulties. Ooh, look at that piece of ice cream. That's an interesting piece of ice cream. I'm currently eating ice cream, by the way. I've got a salted caramel truffle blizzard from Dairy Queen. It's not bad. I think there are toffee pieces in it, though. Not a big fan of toffee, but... other than that, it's decent. Wow, Palace is ahead? Like, if it had been Beach, I would have been like, yeah, okay, I can see that. Who the fuck is picking Palace? I actually did see someone make the argument that they're picking Palace because of, because they just want to, right, they want to do the same thing they always do, just in a bedroom that's like 5 times the size. That's kind of funny. Alright. So the Squid Sisters do actually have new outfits this time. That's interesting. Yeah, look at that. They gave them some new outfits for the first time ever, potentially? I don't know, man. I wish that was something Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3 and kind of in the later half of their game started doing. We were like, oh, we're gonna give these characters like special fun outfits for like Splatfest. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then they only ever did it like 2 or 3 times. I wish they did it more often because it's a fun idea. But nope. Okay, so back to what was making me angry. So, technical issues. So I did some cleaning this week, right? I did some rearranging, some cleaning, got rid of a cabinet I no longer use. Yeah, let's go with cabinet. And so I've cleaned up some space. And ever since then, I must have even though I didn't touch my computer at all, like I left my desk entirely alone, I must have bumped it or something and knocked like loose the HDMI cable on my computer. Because every once in a while, the screen on my computer for just a few seconds will go black. I don't know what causes it. I don't know why it happens. But every once in a while, it just happens. I don't think it's the video card, like, failing or anything like that. At least I hope it's not. But yeah, no, it fucking sucks. But it seems to be like when I'm like loading a video on the computer, like if I just have like a Word document open, nothing. Alright, oh, boom, it does nothing. But like the second I like load up a video, it does it more frequently. So, of course, loading up the stream, you know, I've got the gameplay on the screen, and it's doing it like every 20 seconds. And it only lasts for like 2 seconds, but it's just long enough to be annoying. Like, if it was like a little, like a blink and you miss it thing, I'd be like, okay, whatever, that sucks. But, you know, that's not bad. But when it's like that, like 2 seconds where it's like, god damn it. And it was doing it, yeah, it's doing it every 20 seconds. And I don't think it's affecting the stream at all. It doesn't seem to be affecting anything with the computer. I think it's either that, the monitor's breaking, the HDMI's loose. There's definitely something, I just don't know what. But god damn it, getting the stream started today, it's driving me crazy. It was, oh my god. It seems to be fixed now that I've actually started things. But just trying to get the stream turned on and everything. Oh, I was so frustrated. So, what are we doing tonight? Oh, well, we got Splatfest here. I have a few news stories. We're talking about Xbox Game Pass. Because guess what? Xbox Game Pass is going up in price. Because, you know, we live in a not even post-capitalist. We just live in a capitalist hellscape. So, of course, right, Xbox Game Pass isn't profitable, so it's going up in price. Nintendo is teasing a horror game. Real weird and real random, but yeah, you know, everyone's talking about it, so of course I'm going to talk about it. We got some stuff about Switch sales. It's not your traditional Switch sales stuff. It's about how long since the Switch has released. We'll get to it. And then we have WIBE, right? We've got our standard WIBE. I have a few video games this week. We got a few video games to talk about. We got a Superman, if I remember. We have a Superman. We have a few other random things to talk about, but I'm sure, you know, we'll figure it out. And yeah, it should be a pretty, you know, standard week. Nothing too special. Ah, shit. We've lost. They've cornered. This map sucks, man. If you can corner people right there, like if you can take control of like this portion right there, no, you can't get touched, right? Once they have that, you're stuck. Or, you know, you can stick the enemy. Let me pull up my list of things. So our first story is about Xbox Game Pass. So Xbox revealed over the week that, hey, guess what? Xbox Game Pass is going up in price. So new Xbox Game Pass changes, where Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is increasing to $19.99 a month. PC Game Pass is increasing to $11.99 a month. Xbox Game Pass Core Annual increases to $74 a year. Xbox Game Pass Console will be shuttered for new users. Only current subscribers will be allowed to maintain their subscriptions. New Xbox Game Pass Standard tier launches in September, including the Xbox back catalog, but doesn't include day one games, priced at $14.99 per month, including Xbox Live Gold, but won't include Xbox Cloud Gaming. So that's a lot. So let's break some of this down. So it should be noted right before we actually talk about some of this stuff. Xbox Game Pass is a loss leader, right? It's a program design. It does not make money. At least it's not supposed to. Or at least, you know, it's more about, it's like most other streaming services, Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max. Okay, just Max. Paramount Plus. Right, the service doesn't inherently make money. The goal is to get people on the service and then hope they don't use it. That they continue to pay for it, but they just don't use it. Right, like I think of that one time Verizon Wireless tacked on a $1 fee to all customers. It was just like, hey, here's a $1 fee, right? Most people wouldn't notice it, and for those who did, right, half of them would call customer service to complain, and of those who did, right, half of those people would get fed up with customer service and just give up before they got it removed. And by doing this, month after month, Verizon made like hundreds of millions of dollars. Of course, they did eventually get sued for it, and right, they ended up, even though they made hundreds of millions off of this, they actually only ended up getting fined. Again, this is not an exact. This is just a number I'm making up, but like $25 million. Like, they made a shitload on this, and then they only got fined like 25 million for doing this. Because that's how capitalism works, right? Corporations can do whatever they want, and then they just have to pay a small fee, which pales into comparison to the money they actually made. And streaming services kind of work the same way, right? It's like, hey, you want people to get on your streaming service, but you don't want people to actually use it, or at least, I think of gyms specifically, right? Like Planet Fitness, right? They want you to get a Planet Fitness subscription, and then they make it impossible for you to cancel that subscription. Or, you know, if you can cancel it, you have to sit through hours of customer service, you have to go there in person, you have to watch a documentary about why it's bad to cancel your subscription, right? They make it a fucking hassle because half of people will just give up, right? Trying to cancel HBO Max, half of people will just give up because it's such a fucking hassle. And, right, that's what they want. They want people to subscribe to a streaming service and then never use it. And Game Pass, right, works the same way. Yeah, that's why I say all of that. Because Game Pass works the exact same way. They want people to subscribe to it, and then just never use it. So, because of that, Game Pass is bleeding money. Of course, some people are still getting paid, right? There are Xbox has to pay indie developers, or else they won't put their games on Game Pass. At least they should. But, right, this is why Hi-Fi Rush's studio closed down. Right? Because even though, you know, they made a lot... Hi-Fi Rush was considered a success. It won awards. Because it was on Game Pass, it didn't actually sell that many units. And because Game Pass is a loss leader, the game kind of lost money for Xbox. Kind of. And Xbox, because they've been making these multi-billion-dollar acquisitions, they're now in a position where Microsoft wants them to make money. Like, hey, you've spent over $100 billion. You better start making that back. So, of course, this is how they're going to start doing things. Everything's going up in price. Let's see, $20 for 12 months, $240. You can buy an Xbox Series S for around $300. So in a year, basically, if you buy an Xbox Series S and Game Pass, after only a year and a half of being subscribed to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you will have spent more money on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate than you did on the console. Which I know, right, that's how gaming works in general, right? I've spent probably, 10 times as much on Switch games as I have on the Switch itself. But that's still kind of wild to think about. That, right, $240 for a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Or, you know, you can just buy a Switch with that money. I'm sure I've seen a Switch Lite at $200. But hey, that's what they're doing. So that's the big thing. That's huge. Admittedly, I want to say the original price was $15. It admittedly does not say what the original price is here. I'm looking at Windows Central. You can get 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate for $33 right now. If you go to the right places. Yeah, it doesn't say what old... Yeah, it doesn't tell me what the old price was. I'm sure I could go look on, like, a website. But still, right, that's a big pricing. That's a significant price. Even if it's just $5. $5 is a big price increase. Especially on, like, a monthly subscription thing. PC, yeah, is up to $12. Xbox Core is right up to $75. And that doesn't include online, right? That's no online included. Same thing with the PC one. They're shuttering the console version, and instead they're going to do, right, their new, like, limited version. So there was another recent story. So Samsung had their big Samsung event recently. And as part of that event, they announced like, hey, here's all the new Galaxy AI features. And yeah, sure, they're available for free today, but at the end of 2025, we're going to make you start paying for them. Right? We're basically, it's drug dealers tactics, right? Nintendo did the same thing with Nintendo Switch Online, where it's like, yeah, we're giving it away for you free for a year, but after that year, you're going to have to start paying for them. What else is new? In, right, Game Pass, right, they're like, hey, you know, we've got cloud gaming, right? If you have a Game Pass console subscription, yeah, you've got cloud gaming. But in the future, nope, that's only going to be for Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. What was the other one? Oh, it did one of Game Pass's biggest selling points. Again, another thing that makes it unsustainable is that, hey, they were putting current day one games on Game Pass. So, right, if you bought Game Pass, hey, you want to go play that new, Indiana Jones game that comes out in a few months? It'll be day one on Game Pass. Not anymore. Now you need Game Pass Ultimate, just the standard edition. Nope, that won't cut it. And to be fair, that was always that, like, PlayStation doesn't do day one games either, because that's a losing strategy. Companies make a lot of money off day one games. That's why PlayStation didn't do it, and that's why Xbox is switching to this. Because, you know, I say all this, right, like, because these are all, right, definitely for an increased price, they're charging you more for a worse service. That's the thing. That's the big complaint here, is they're charging you more money for a worse service. But like, Game Pass was a great deal, right? Especially, like, I think, like, a few years ago, you could probably argue that still today Game Pass is a decent deal. Before all these changes officially go into effect, right? You could argue that Game Pass is still a pretty good deal. Because there are a lot of good games on Game Pass. They add new stuff all the time. Yeah, Game Pass is a pretty decent deal, right? Especially because it's cheaper than actually full out, right? Buying Game Pass is cheaper than buying a brand new AAA $60 game every month. That is, and even after these price changes, that is still true. But it's just, there's less and less to play on Xbox, man. And I just, like, I have this thing. I have an Xbox now. I don't really use it. Yeah, did I put like 100 hours into Starfield? Yes. Did I actually buy my own copy of Starfield? Yes. Is it clear that Xbox is moving towards an all-digital future where you'll no longer be able to own your games because, you know, they're killing off physical games? Yes. Is every other console trying to do that as well? Also, yes. I can't believe they're still charging for Xbox Gold. I know there was a rumor for a while that they were going to stop charging for Xbox Gold. Because Xbox Gold is also one of those things where it's just like, it's free money for the company. And there was a rumor for a while that they were going to keep pushing Game Pass, but stop doing Xbox Gold. And it's like, why would they do that? Because it's just free money for them. Let's see, the article is still updating. So these changes all go into effect September 12th, as far as I can tell. And as long as you can get up to a year, if you buy it at this cheaper price, the price that it is right now, you can stack up to 13 months. So basically a year of Xbox Game Pass before any of those changes go into effect. So if you want to try to get a year at a cheaper price, yeah, do it before September. Yeah, no, this doesn't surprise me, sadly. This is just another stupid fucking thing in the gaming industry. You know, they like to do that all the time. It doesn't surprise me. It's fucking Xbox, man. And they're in a, you know, that, right, now that Microsoft is actually, because Xbox has never actually really made a profit. It's kind of like, Did you know the Studio Laika, you know, the Coraline movies, Nightmare Before Christmas, The Missing Link? Did you know the person who makes those movies is the son of the guy who owns, is it Nike or Air Jordan? It's one of those, maybe it's either Nike or Adidas. It's one of those famous shoe companies. His son started Studio Laika, right? The animation movie company. And Studio Laika has never actually made money, at least not that much, but they're able to continue making movies because they get pay-in from Nike to keep making movies, right? And they always do promotions with Nike, or, again, I think it's Nike. It might not be, but I think it's Nike. Citation needed. But that kind of is what, right, Xbox has always kind of been in that position. Where, sure, they've never made a lot of money, you know, sometimes they've even lost it. But Microsoft, you know, they're owned by Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the world. So they've always kind of been able to afford to lose that money. Because, you know, they're just another small bump in Microsoft's pocket. But now that they've spent money acquiring Bethesda, acquiring Activision Blizzard, now they have to shit or get off the pot. And they're clearly not shitting. So, yeah, Xbox. That's why you see all these studios closing and whatnot. I know we've talked about this. Well, we talked about this a dozen times. I know I sound like a broken record whenever Xbox does stupid shit like this, especially this year. But guess what? The game industry sucks. We are currently in a game industry bubble, and it's not looking pretty. I want to say there was a report this year that console sales across the board are down. So Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, they're all down this year. And sadly, that doesn't really surprise me. I don't know, again, citation needed for that one, but I think I remember reading something like that. Because they were just, yeah, it's a weird year for games. After last year was such a good year for games, this year in comparison just isn't. And, I mean, there's still been some good stuff, but it still kind of sucks. Alright, so our next story. Nintendo's making a horror game? What? Okay, I will say, I don't actually know if Nintendo is making this game, or if they're just, like, marketing this for a third party, right, for an indie studio or a third party company. We don't know any of the details, potentially. But basically, a few days ago, I want to say I woke up to this. I woke up to seeing all these things, all these tweets about, hey, it's Emio, this Nintendo horror thing. And I saw all these tweets from, like, Wario64. And then I went to look for it, and I couldn't find anything. So for a second, I was like, oh my god, did Nintendo get hacked? Is this, like, the weird ransom note? And then I saw the trailer on YouTube, and I was like, no, this is real. So it's this Nintendo horror teaser. Again, we don't know much about it. But it basically says, like, oh, this will be disturbing for some viewers. It's got this weird man in, like, a paper bag mask with, like, a smiley face on it. There's some Japanese text that says, the smiling man. People eventually translated it. And then it's rated M, right? There's a rated M logo that says rated M 15+. For strong themes, violence, suicidal reference, cruelty, and domestic abuse. So what the heck is this? Everyone was freaking out about this because we're in the weird part of the... Now, I don't think there's any actual evidence that this is a first-party Nintendo game. I don't even think there's evidence that this is a second-party Nintendo game. Right? This could be Nintendo teasing it for some other company. We have no idea at this moment. But we're in the late lifespan of the Nintendo Switch, and it literally feels like, hey, anything's possible. If Nintendo wants to make a horror game, be that first or second party, fuck it, Nintendo can make a horror game. Right? Like, who cares? Right? We're late enough into the Switch lifespan, like, who cares? So that's kind of the mood right now. People are just kind of like, you know what, fuck it, let's see where this goes. The fact that the game is already rated M makes me feel that and it's rated in multiple regions as well. Like, it's rated in Australia, which makes me think that this might be closer to release than we realize. But, you know, it asks several questions. Like, what is this? What's going on here? My first thought was Famicom Detective Club. So, right, Nintendo has a series called Famicom Detective Club, which is like a series of like murder mystery games that a few years ago they remade the first two games. They might be the only two games, I'm not entirely sure, I don't know much about the series. But, you know, they re-released the two Famicom Detective Club games. And, you know, in theory, I heard they were actually pretty decent. And if they did well, I was like, you know what, I could see them getting another one. Sure, fuck it, if this is how they go, why not? So that was my first thought. My second thought was, Fatal Frame. Nintendo owns, as far as I know, Nintendo owns Fatal Frame. Right, I want to say they bought the rights from the developer, the publisher. You know, it's a horror game, but yeah, Nintendo owns this photography horror game for some reason. And if this is what they're doing with a new one, yeah, sure, it's weird, but it's not un-Nintendo-like to do something like this. You know what, sure. Right, like, it's weird, but Nintendo can do stuff like that. And this kind of fits the vibe of Fatal Frame. So that was thought number 2. Thought number 3 is Eternal Darkness. Honestly, I think this is the least likely one. Eternal Darkness, for those who don't know, was a horror game released on the GameCube. It's a cult classic, right? Like, it's never been re-released. Nope. It's kind of like Banjo-Kazooie, where it's like the rights are kind of, or I guess Diddy Kong Racing is the better example. GoldenEye's, right? Banjo-Kazooie's not a good example. Let's go with Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, right? Where it's like the rights are up in the air, like, yeah, Nintendo owns part of it, but another studio owns another part, so can they remake it? Can they re-release it? Nobody really knows. The answer is just kind of like a shrug. Eternal Darkness is kind of right in that weird boat, but it's a cult, right? It's a cult classic game. People really do like it. The one thing I know about it is that, like, it was one of those games that, like, messed with your TV settings. And at one point, like, there's, like, a psychological meter. And as it goes up, like, weird, like, it'll start, like, turn down the volume. It'll mess with your TV. And when it gets high enough, it'll even delete your save file. Which you know, there's that moment in Batman Arkham Asylum where the game restarts, but you're playing as Joker, escorting Batman into Arkham, right? Like, the game resets. Really cool moment. Yeah, that moment is inspired by Eternal Darkness. Or at least it feels like it anyways. They do very similar things. It's a cult classic game. I don't know much about it. I've never played it, but I know that. And, you know, a new Eternal Darkness, right? That's something that people would want. Even just a remake. I feel like people would really like that. So if this is something new from Eternal Darkness, you know, that'd be cool. But I don't think so. If I had, between those 3 possibilities, I'd say the most likely one is Fatal Frame. You know, Fatal Frame, Nintendo just likes the series. Even though I swear the Fatal Frame games got published on Steam a few years ago, I still think Nintendo, like, owns, at least partially, the rights to the series. So, you know, they could, if they want to make a new one, or if they want to pay people, you know, kind of like Bayonetta, where it's like, hey, we kind of own the rights. So sure, Bayonetta can be on Steam, but also it'll be on Nintendo game. It's just one of those weird things. Because again, Fatal Frame is referenced in Smash Bros. I think it has an assist trophy. At least I think it has an assist trophy. That sounds right in my head. I know it definitely has a spirit. But I think it has an assist trophy. You know what game I remember came out this year? Another Code. Another Code Recollection. Remember that came out in like January? And I feel like nobody talked about it, but I was always kind of curious because I hear those games are actually really good. Kind of like the Famicom Detective Club. Oh god, you know what I don't have listed on this docket for this week? So we'll talk about it real quick right now. Starfy. Nintendo announced that they're re-releasing for the first time ever in North America, they're releasing Starfy 1, 2, and 3. So if you don't know, Starfy is a series of games made by Nintendo. I'm pretty sure they're made by Nintendo anyways. Also, an assist trophy in Smash Bros, I think. They're basically Kirby games. Like, that's the direct comparison I would make. I don't think they're made by HAL Laboratories, but they might be. And Starfy is mostly a Japan-only series. The only game we ever got in the West was the DS one. But they're releasing the first 3 Starfy games in America. They are not translating them. They did not translate them into English. But they're Kirby games, right? You can play a Kirby game without any text. Right, in a foreign language pretty easily. You could play a Starfy game in a foreign language pretty easily. So I don't think this is going to cause any problems. If you like Kirby and have never played Starfy, high recommendation. I had the DS one. The DS one was pretty good. So yeah, I would recommend it. But yeah, just random thing. Hey, boom, there you go. Anything else from this Emio thing? I don't know. I'm just curious. I legitimately thought that like the next day we were gonna find out what it is, but it's now been 2 days and we know nothing. Like, I legitimately thought by this point they would have like explained what it is by now, and they just haven't. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Give me a second, I'm eating ice cream soup. The joke I've seen about this Emio thing is that this is the teaser for Luigi's Mansion 4. That Luigi's Mansion 4 is just going to take place in the Resident Evil house, the Resident Evil 7 house. You're going to still be playing as Luigi, you know, all the Luigi mechanics work the same with catching ghosts. It's just the setting in the world is the Resident Evil 7 house. Can I be honest, I love that idea. I remember that around the time Elden Ring came out, I want to say John Cartwright made the joke, hey, what if, you know, Elden Ring, but Kirby was the protagonist, right? It's this hyper-realistic world, right? You've got all these knights and whatnot, but, you know, it's Kirby as the protagonist. Genuinely an amazing idea. I think the idea of an Elden Ring world, wherever, you know, all the enemies are the same, the bosses are the same, it's the Elden Ring world, but you're playing as Kirby, is an amazing idea. And would make a fantastic Kirby game. Right, the juxtaposition of little pink puffball in the Elden Ring world. And, like, copy ability still work the same, right? Like, there's no special right? You've still got, like, oh, you've got Ranger, you've got Sword Fighter, you've got Cutter. But, you know, the enemies kill you in one hit. They still work like, you know, From Software enemies, you know. I think that's a genuinely hilarious idea. So yeah, I would love that. And if this is the new Luigi's Mansion, you know, M-rated, Luigi gets, you know, there's that one Smash Bros. Trailer where Luigi fights the Grim Reaper, and, you know, the Grim Reaper takes his soul, and it's like, oh, that's fucking metal, before Simon Belmont shows up to save him. If that was the setting of the next Luigi's Mansion game, I would fucking love that. That sounds like so much fun. right? Just like taking comical Luigi and putting him to a hyper-realistic, hyper-violent world. Genuinely a fantastic idea. If executed right, of course. Right? Because you kind of got to get over the juxtaposition, but once you do... Oh, wow, I love that. But yeah, I genuinely think there's a great idea there. But no, you know, we'll see what this Emio game turns out to be. If this is, you know, if this game is close to launch, and this turns out to be our August Switch game, you know what? Sure. Because Nintendo weirdly, right, they've got a game for every other month this year, except for August. And it's really weird that they don't have anything for August, in my opinion. But if this is what it turns out to be, well, so be it. You know, if this is how we get our August game, then sure. You know, go off, Nintendo. So, our next story is about Nintendo Switch sales. Specifically, the fact that the Nintendo Switch is now the longest running, the longest on sale, the longest before being replaced Nintendo console ever. It has now been on, the Nintendo Switch has now been on the market longer than any other Nintendo home console. That does not mean it's the longest Nintendo system ever, actually. Because I specifically used the term home console, because technically the original Game Boy was on the market longer. But yeah, as of now, the Nintendo... We lost that? Holy shit, I thought we were doing great there. Wow. But yeah, no, the Nintendo Switch has now been on the market. The previous record holder was the Famicom. The Famicom was... I don't have specific numbers, like, oh, it's been like 4,000 days, or whatever. I don't have specific numbers. But yeah, you know, it's closer to like 1,000. It's not 4,000. It's definitely closer to like 1,000. But yeah, the Nintendo Switch has now been on the market longer than the Famicom. It's been on the market longer than the Nintendo DS. So yeah, the time between... So it has now been less time. It has been more time now than between the Nintendo DS and the Nintendo 3DS. And more time than between the Famicom and the Super Famicom. Not the NES. I want to be specifically... it's the Japanese one we're specifically talking about. But that's still a lot of time. That number actually... The Game Boy doesn't surprise me at all. The Game Boy was on the market for like 9 years. From, I want to say, 89 to 90 to 98. Maybe 90, maybe it was 8 years, maybe at 97. The Game Boy was on the market for a long time. Alright, the Game Boy, wow. And the Game Boy did well. I mean, the Switch still hasn't outsold the DS. Right? It's still only the third best-selling console of all time. And based on the fact that consoles seem to be selling less this year, that number probably isn't going to change. But, you know... I mean, it might be the DS. Because the only difference between the DS and the PS2 is like 1 million units. It's not much. So, you know, there's still the chance that, you know, the Switch will still continue to... You know, they could make it. It's like 10 million to the DS. But yeah, no, I just think this is an interesting... Right, because, you know, this was supposed to go differently. Right, there were news stories over a year ago now that was like, hey, the Switch successor is going to come out in May of this year. And then it got delayed... let's say March. It was supposed to come out in March of this year. And then there were rumors like, hey, it got delayed until October due to shortages. And, you know, Nintendo wanting to make sure there are enough games on the system. And then the console basically got delayed again until probably March of next year. So yeah, then right, like there's an alternate timeline where the Nintendo Switch 2 is out by now. Was it Andy Cortez was pointing out? Like there's a different timeline where COVID never happened, and because COVID never happened, Animal Crossing New Horizons never sold as well as it did. And as a result, the Switch sold less. And right in that timeline, the Switch 2 is probably out by now. Because without COVID, right, the Switch probably does... It still does well, but it probably isn't doing as well as it did right now. The Switch did... Right, COVID... The Switch was the video game console of COVID. I don't know if people realize that. The Switch was the video game console of COVID. And Animal Crossing was the game of COVID. So... there's an old... Right, I don't think there's much use in dwelling on alternate histories... But it's right, this interesting idea of, like, things are very different in the universe where COVID didn't happen for Nintendo. Of course, there are a lot of things that are very different. You know, Donald Trump is probably president in that universe. Because without COVID, I totally believe Donald Trump would have won a second term. And he's probably getting ready for his third term right now. You know? Because I bet Donald Trump has overthrown the Constitution. And he's holding a Putin-style mock election right now in that alternate universe to have his third term. I bet that's happening. I'll leave that to Alternate History Hub, though. Oh. I sprayed myself with ice cream in the face. Not in the part of the face that eats ice cream. Is what I meant. Anything else about the Switch? You know, it's just... You know, I'm excited for next year, man. Like, the Switch 2 next year is going to be so... I hope it's cool, right? I hope it's not some, like, major change, you know, some major departure. I hope Nintendo, you know, plays it safe with the Switch 2. That it's just, you know, the Switch but better. They don't try to make a DS. The biggest change they make is VR. Because I could see Nintendo leaning into VR, because it's always been a technology they're fascinated with. But other than that, I hope they don't make that many changes. And it's just, hey, they keep going. I hope they directly import all of the NSO stuff. That instead of starting over with the Virtual Console for, like, the third time, it's just like, nope. Every game on Nintendo Switch that's currently on NSO is going to be on Nintendo Switch 2 on launch day. But we're also going to expand it, and hey, guess what? GameCube games. That'd be cool. GameCube and maybe DS. You know, I was thinking, you know what I realized this? So Samsung held their big developers conference. And I realized that in probably 10, 15 years, when foldable technology gets better and it's more reliable, it breaks less, you know, Samsung can make a phone that lasts longer than a fucking year. That's foldable. I guarantee you, Nintendo is going to do a foldable console. They're going to do a Nintendo DS style console. Again, if they're still making Switch style consoles at that point, that's gonna it's gonna have the one big screen on the front, but then you're gonna be able to fold it into two screens like the Nintendo DS. That's how they're gonna do it. Because I feel like one of those foldable phones would be awesome as a DS emulator. That might just be me, but that is the feeling I get. I feel like that would be perfect as a DS emulator. I don't know. I'm very interested in those foldable phones. I think they could be very neat, but I worry the technology's not there yet, and they're just so fucking expensive. Specifically the big ones. Right? The big foldables, I think they're cool. It's just, right, we're just not there yet when it comes to the technology. But of course, we'll see what Nintendo's going to Nintendo. They're gonna do something weird. They're gonna do something I don't like. But they're also gonna do a lot of great things. I know no matter what, the games are there, right? Nintendo has figured some shit out over the years, right? They've learned a lot from their failure. So even if I might have some complaints about the console, I think when it comes to games, Nintendo's got games. And I think we're gonna get a Mario Odyssey 2. I think we're gonna get a Splatoon 4. Okay, it might be too early for Splatoon 4. I guess let's go into WIBE real quick. So we're doing a Splatfest right now. And this does bring up the question. I don't think this is the last Splatfest. I don't think I'm alone in that. But I think we're getting close to the last Splatfest. If I had to guess, the last Splatfest is going to be in September. So I'm assuming we have one more after this one, because they usually try in the second year of Splatoon, right, in year 2, they've tried to do a Splatfest every month. So I'm assuming this is our summer Splatfest. I'm assuming we have one more in August, whatever that may be. And then we've got the final Splatfest, which is going to be Squid Sisters versus Off the Hook versus Deep Cut. That's the final fest. And I think we all kind of know it. And I guess for the Splatfest earlier today, they released like hey, here's a special interview where we have Off the Hook, Deep Cut, and the Squid Sisters all together in the studio to talk about their projects. Splatoon does those like fake interviews every once in a while. And I think they did that leading towards the final fest. Admittedly, I do think we are getting one more update before then. Because I don't know, man. I get the feeling there's one more update in the game. Because if it was the final update, I feel like they would have said so. Because I felt like Splatoon 2 was that transparent on things. But, maybe not. I could also see them having a big next-gen update planned for Splatoon 3 on Switch 2. Where it's like, hey, guess what? Splatoon 3 is getting a next-gen console update. You pay the $10, you get the new update, right? Better graphics and all that jazz. But, also as part of this, we're adding in the third weapon kits. We're adding in some new stages. I could see them doing something like that. I would love to see them add an update that just allows you to do triple Splatfests at any time you want. Because as far as I know, you can't do custom Triforce battles. I call them Triforce battles. Right, as far as I know, in like the private lobbies, you can't do custom triple battles. So I feel like for like a final update, they would add the ability to do that in private lobbies. Maybe even after the final fest. Because I feel like that's what they did for Splatoon 2. I would love to see them because there's like all these like ink effects and whatnot that they, because if you haven't noticed, the ink right now is like wave, like it's got like ocean waves in it. I could see them adding the ability to use these custom ink effects in private battle, or maybe even work them into just the normal ink rotation, where you've got like a 1 in 100 chance on any random battle to get a random ink effect. I think that would actually be very cool. It would make like random battles like, oh hey, you're doing this random turf war battle? Hey look, the ink is all sparkly. It's like Easter ink. That would be cool. And I don't hate this ocean ink at all. I actually kind of, I don't really like the sparkly ink that they used in Splatoon 2. I never really cared for it. I don't think this ocean ink is that bad. And I feel like the sparkly ink they used here in Splatoon 3, they kind of toned it down a little bit and it looked a little better. I don't know, man. I'm glad I picked the blue color, because this is the best color for the ocean ink. It looks like it looks like a water bottle, man. Oh, it's great. So what do we have for WIBE? So video games, I have been playing Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion 3. Currently in Luigi's Mansion 3, I just beat the dinosaur, right? You fight the T-Rex, at, I want to say floor 8? That sounds right in my head. It's either floor 8 or 9. And honestly, I really love that boss fight. Just, you know, coming in, you see the big T-Rex skeleton. As you get closer, it starts to move. And then, you know, you get chased around by the T-Rex, and God, that's so much fun. The game is really good, man. Luigi's Mansion 3 is to the original Luigi's Mansion what Link to the Past is to the original Legend of Zelda. Right? And that makes Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon the Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link. That sounds right in my head. Right? It's like the weird black sheep of the series. Hey, Anti-Anonymous. So yeah, I really like Luigi's Mansion 3, man. Even like, I remember the worst part of the game in my memory was the botanical floor. Because I remember the botanical floor just taking forever. I remember it being really long, really tedious. It actually hasn't... It's actually not that bad. You haven't been live in a while. Every week, I'm here. No. Yeah, I'm here every week. No, well, okay, I missed like 2 weeks ago, but yeah. Do I watch anime? Of course I watch anime. Haven't watched any anime recently. Like, I haven't seen anything in a while, but yeah, I watch anime, of course. But yeah, no, a lot of, like, you know, those, like, hey, standard 12-episode anime, right? Oh, hey, look, this anime looks fun. Oh, boom, it's 12 episodes. Yeah, sadly, I watch a lot of those. I want, you know, I'll watch basically anything but horror. I've seen a lot of random stuff. I've seen some isekais, you know, I'll be honest, I know isekais are garbage, but there's just something about them that just, like, tickles the right itch in my brain, and I kind of like them for that. Even though I will admit a lot of them are garbage. Subbed or dubbed? I prefer dubbed if I have the option, but I'll do it either way. And usually, like, if I have the option, I'll watch dubbed the first time. And if the show's, like, really good, I'll go back, like, a year or two later and watch it subbed. But no, I'm a dub guy. Oh, I did watch that Suicide Squad isekai. That's technically an anime. It's okay. Yeah, it was okay. Why, you looking for anything specific? Because I've got a lot of... I keep a list. I keep a list of every anime I watch. Not using the web... You know, even though someone made a website called My Anime List, so that way you could, like, easily keep track of things. Nope, I don't use that. I made my own personal Google spreadsheet that shows everything I watched. Or everything I want to watch. It's a fucking mess, man. I need to go in and sort it at some point. But I never have. I normally watch shonen. I like anime, a lot of action. And it's actually like so far, including My Dress Up Darling. My Dress Up Darling was fine. I wasn't blown away by it, but I thought it was fine. The anime one of my favorite romance is oh god, what's the English name? Oh god, what is the I cannot think of the English name. But she's a NEET who is addicted to online video games. Right, this online game. And she ends up falling in love with a guy so in the video game she's playing a guy. And she ends up meeting this girl, but it turns out the girl is being played by a guy. And the two end up falling in love, and it's really cute. What the fuck is it called? I cannot think of it at all. For some reason, the only name coming to my head is Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun, which is also a very cute anime, but that's not it. I know that's not it. Fuck. Neat. I don't know. It's very cute. It's one of my personal favorite romance. It actually, like, by the end of episode, it's only a 12-episode anime, but by the end of episode 12, it does actually have, like, a conclusion. Like, it's not one of those, like, will they, won't they end up dating in the end? And it also has adults. Like, you know, so many animes are like, oh, teenagers, right? Like My Dress-Up Darling. Where it's like, oh, here's teenagers. And it's like, oh, yeah, you, a mid-20-year-old man is watching a show about teenage girls who are half naked. And it's just like, oh, this is weird. Ugh. No, this one is actually, like, adults. Like, they're late 20s, early 30s. Oh, what the fuck is it called? I'll look it up here in a second. Recovery of an MMO Junkie. There we go. That's what it's called. Yep. It's a funny little romance anime. Alright, Recovery of an MMO Junkie. One season from 2017. And it's just really good and really cute. You know what anime I did not like? I know I'm going off topic of what I was originally talking about. We'll get back there. I tried watching Eminence in Shadow because I had heard everyone talk about, oh, how good it is. Right? Oh, Eminence in Shadow, right? It's about this guy, and he starts, like, the secret society, and, you know, I'd heard all these good things about it. Yeah, you gotta, from Dress-Up Darling, you gotta ignore the fact that they're all in high school. Yeah. I love the voice actress, though, Amelie. She's fantastic. But yeah, no, what was I just saying? I tried watching Eminence in Shadow, and I just could not get into it, man. I did not like the main character. Because, like, he's clearly pulling all the strings. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not entirely sure, like, is he just being stupid intentionally? Are they, like, saving up for the big reveal that, like, hey, surprise, surprise, the evil organization is actually controlled by him the whole time? Right? He's both the hero and the villain. Or is it just, like, what? Because it makes no sense. And it just started to get to me. I didn't, like, there are jokes, and I just didn't find it funny. I'm sure somebody does, but it just was not vibing with me. There were some okay moments. There's the nuclear punch, which I thought was like, oh, that's kind of neat. There's a moment where he gets trapped. Spoiler alert, I guess. He gets, like, trapped in, like, some alternate dimension laboratory with, like, a witch. And then, surprise, surprise, the witch that he's trapped with is, like, actually the big bad guy. And, like, the witch, like, loves him, and I don't know. I was like, okay, there's something there. But, I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I don't even remember if I finished the first season. The first anime I ever saw was Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball animes are actually the only animes I like in the the first anime I ever watched was well, it was Pokemon. Alright, I'm gonna be honest, it was Pokemon. But after Pokemon, it was Zatch Bell. Which, you know, was also like a 2004, right? It was like around the Dragon Ball era and whatnot. Or, you know, Dragon Ball Z and whatnot. And I really liked that one. And that one, they dubbed the first 100 episodes, but the last 50 never got dubbed. And I've never actually seen how the show ends. It's always because it's one of my favorites, and it's always been one of those things where it's like, someday I'm going to see the last 50 episodes. But I never have. Same thing with Sailor Moon. They, like, dubbed the first 100, but then then they, like, didn't dub, like, 50 episodes, and then they started dubbing it again, and it was just really confusing, and Yeah, I've never seen how Sailor Moon ends. Pokemon was the first one I saw. I skip over that. Yeah, for a lot of people, Pokemon is your first anime. Yeah, I kind of just skip over it too. I haven't seen Sailor Moon. I like, you know, am I biased because I watched it as a kid? Sure, but I liked Sailor Moon. I liked Sailor Moon the same way I like the Powerpuff Girls, or God, some other show like the Powerpuff Girls that I can't think of right now. I don't know. I did. I definitely, if you were to watch it, I would definitely recommend Crystal over the original. I think Crystal is just, you know, kind of better, has a better handle on things. Because, you know, it came out nowadays, but... I say nowadays, it was like 10 years ago, but... Was Crystal 10 years ago? It's been a while either way. Okay, so speaking of magical girls, back on my train of thought. Luigi's Mansion, yes, you do battle magical girls. You fight Godzilla. Man, I love that Godzilla level. The Godzilla fight in Luigi's Mansion 3, so fucking fun. I love the movie studio. It was so good. The entire movie studio level's fantastic. Fighting Godzilla at the end, piece of resistance. And then you have to deal with the fucking cat. The cat in Luigi's Mansion 3 sucks. Did you know that when Sailor Moon came to America, they had to shrink? Yep, I totally believe that. They also had to, in Sailor Moon, they also had to undo the lesbians. Right, the lesbians were no longer allowed to be lesbians. Yeah, kind of sucks. Yeah. Same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! As well. Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of worked the same way as well. So yeah. And then, yeah, you have to deal with the cat in Luigi's Mansion. And man, do I hate that cat. Because, you know, I remember hating the garden level. And then I did it again, and I was like, you know what, the garden level's not actually that bad. I was like, you know, I remember hating this. I don't actually hate the garden level. And then you have to chase down the cat, and the cat runs away from the movie studio over to the greenhouse. And you have to chase down the cat through the greenhouse, and I'm like, yep, this is why I hate this. Because you have to go, because the greenhouse is this massive level that you then have to go back through just to chase down this cat. Like, if the cat had just stuck in the movie studio, I would have been like, you know what, fine. It's not too bad, because the movie studio is relatively short. But god damn it, was it annoying to have to chase it back down. And then after chasing it back down, you go up, you fight the dinosaur, and it's, you know, it's all fun that ends well. And now I'm heading down to the basement, and that's kind of where I stopped playing Luigi's Mansion. At least that was where I was yesterday. Because I didn't play today, admittedly. Yeah. What else did I play? Oh, I played Cuphead. So last week we talked a bunch about how I had watched design frames, literal like 6-hour video on the Cuphead DLC, parts 1, 2, and 3 of videos that are clearly going to have a 6, 7, and 8, or 4, 5, 6, and 7, whatever it is. So, right, watching those Cuphead videos made me want to replay Cuphead. So I had started last week. After watching, right, so between last week and this week, I re-beat Cuphead. Honestly, was not that hard. I'll be honest, the hardest playthrough of Cuphead is the first playthrough. After you complete the first playthrough, every playthrough gets a little bit easier. The only 2 bosses that actually gave me problems were Grim Matchstick, the Dragon. The Dragon is one of my favorite bosses in Cuphead, but it gave me some trouble. It took me a bunch of attempts to beat it. And then the other boss that took me a while to beat was the bee, the queen bee that has the apartments. I don't know why. I think that boss is unfair, because that's the only boss where her attacks can hit you off screen, and that kind of sucks. But so that one took me a while, but I did eventually beat her. What sucked about Grim Matchstick and the Queen Bee, whose name I can't remember, is that I didn't buy the lob shot. I was basically playing through the entire game with just the standard pea shooter, and you really need the lob shot for both of those bosses. They just make it easier. I guess I was using the boomerang as well. I was using pea shooter and boomerang for most of my playthrough. But I did eventually buy lobber, and that just made them so much easier. I'll tell you, you know, so in Design Frame's video, he talks about how great the heart ring is. How, oh, you would never use, you know, the twin heart again because the heart ring is just so OP. I realized against bosses like Grim Matchstick that you actually really can't use the heart ring because the heart ring relies on parries, right? You have to get 1, 3, and 6 parries to use it. Grim Matchstick, at most, does like 5 parries before you can kill it. Grim Matchstick is not a very parry-heavy boss. Most of the parries only come in the first phase. So that boss is actually kind of hard to parry. And as a, like, I think that I had at least one run where he only sent out a single parryable object the entire time. And that kind of creates some problems. Not that I really used the heart ring, but it was something in the back of my head while I was fighting him. And most bosses, for that matter. Okay, not all, but some. I definitely see the benefit of the heart ring in the flying sections. Like when things like... Because I love Smoke Bomb. Smoke Bomb is my primary weapon. But in flying sections, when you can't use Smoke Bomb, I was actually using Twin Heart. Because, yeah, that was useful. And then, so I beat the game. King Dice actually didn't give... King Dice, in my opinion, is the hardest boss in the game. Well, okay, maybe second hardest, because I think the Salt Baker is probably harder than King Dice. Maybe. But I usually hate King Dice. I actually had no problems with King Dice this time. I had a pretty good run. I went from the stack of chips to the Horsemen to the Magic 8 Ball to King Dice. I beat him on my, like, second try. Pretty good run. And also, I beat him damageless as well. That was pretty nice. I had 6 hearts going into the boss fight. He didn't do a single heart of damage. Or I think he maybe... Did he do 1? I kind of don't remember. Either way, I had a great run against King Dice. And then the Devil I beat on my, like, third try. I think the Devil... I think King Dice is much harder than the Devil. So after I beat the game, I took like a break, and I came back and did the DLC, and I was a little bit more worried about the DLC. Nope, I don't think a single of the DLC bosses took me more than 5 tries. Which one? I think I beat the Yeti. Wait, let me go through what I remember. I want to say I beat the Yeti on my like second try. I think it took me 5 tries to beat the Wizard, the Frost Wizard. It took me, I want to say 3 tries to beat the dog pilots. The cowboy, I beat on my, like, 3rd try as well. Because if you watch Design Frame's video about the cowgirl, they explain that, like, there's this certain part of the screen you can stand on where none of her attacks can hit you. And of course, you know, seeing that video, that's the first thing I tried. And sure enough, as long as you stand in that specific spot during the first phase, not a single attack can hit you. So actually, that boss went very easy. I beat it fairly quickly. And then after that, I think the spiders I beat on the spider, snail, anteater, you know, the mobsters. I beat on my 2nd try. And then, is there one more boss? The Yeti? No, I think it's those 5 bosses. I did not try to go to the secret ending with the dogs have like a secret final phase. I did not try to get that secret final phase. I just tried to beat them. And yeah. And then for Salt Baker, I think it took me 5 tries on Salt Baker. Specifically, I could get to his last phase pretty easily, but then I like died on his last phase like 4 times because I could always get to it with like 1 hit, and I just like fucked something up. So it took me a few tries. But yeah, no, I beat the Delicious Last Course DLC in like 20, in like, I was gonna say, I said 20 minutes. No, I mean like 2 hours. It was actually, from playing it to the first time to the last time, because like the first time I played the Delicious Last Course DLC, I must have died 100 times. Some of those bosses just absolutely broke my brain. But no, this time, easy as pie. Easy as pie, no issues whatsoever. And yeah, you know, even with knowing all of its design problems, knowing that Cuphead still has problems, god damn it, did I have fun. And I think that's kind of all I care about, is did I have fun? Yes, that's all that matters to me. We can talk about design issues. Design Frame can make another 2-hour video about why the mobsters suck, why the Frost Wizard's a terribly designed boss. I don't, you know, doesn't change the fact that I think the game is fun. I hadn't noticed that emote. Them doing like the wave. This is what a fish does. Yeah. So yeah, I had a good time with Cuphead. Did I play any other video games? I have not gone back into Oracle of Ages or Seasons. I haven't touched it again. I know I will eventually, but like I said, I'm going through Luigi's Mansion. I don't think I've played anything else. At least not that I can think of. My mother has been playing through Zelda. I guess I should talk about, because I went and saw her today to see where she was. I went and paid her a visit. She's in the snow area. She went over to the snow area because she's done basically every map piece except for the snow area over there, right? Mount Hebra, the Rito Village. She hasn't been over there at all. So she was like, okay, I'm finally going to go to the snow area. She breaks over there. She gets the second piece of snow clothing that allows her to fully explore the snow area. And then she was following Tulin up to the skyscraper. When I came in, she was, you know, she was in Hebra Mountain. You know, you're at the beginning, after you leave Rito Village, you go over to Hebra Mountain to, like, chase Tulin down. That's kind of where she was in, like, that cave system over there. And so I took her, so I guided her up through, climbing up Hebra, finding all the floating sky islands, and her making her way up towards the Great Sky Arc. Okay, so one of the things, we might have talked about this, I have no idea. She's gotten better at this over time. But when she first started these games, one of her biggest problems was opening her parachute to save herself when she's falling. So if you don't know, in Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom, you can only parachute as long as you have stamina. And when you run out of stamina, your parachute closes. However, when you run out of stamina, the game gives you like just a little bit, so that way you can open your parachute right before you hit the ground and basically save yourself from dying of fall damage. And she's, you know, when the game started, she was very bad at that. You know, you kind of seem like... Yeah, I mean, this basically... according to YouTube, this is a podcast. I mean, yeah, this is registered as a podcast on YouTube. But yeah, so she's always had a problem with catching herself. Right? Like, last minute, opening her parachute to catch herself. She either does it too early or too late. It's just, you know, as she's played more of the game, she's gotten better at it. But now, right, it's one of those things where it's like, she'll be good at it, and then all of a sudden she'll just completely forget it exists, and she'll fall 500 feet to her death. Or, you know, she'll forget to open the parachute. But, you know, I would say she's gotten better over time. But so as she's climbing these great sky islands on top of Hebra, she falls off. She misses a jump. She opens her parachute too late. And I tell her, like, hey, don't open your parachute. Just plummet to your death so that way you respawn up on the island. So that way, you know, you don't have to climb back up. As she's falling down, she sees a shrine on the ground, close to where she's falling. And it just, like, triggers something in her brain. So, of course, at the last possible second, she opens her parachute. And now she has to go back and re-climb up the entire Sky Islands to get back to the Stormlight Arc. So she had to redo... Okay, she had to only redo, like, a third of the climb. But still, she had to redo, like, a third of the climb. Because... And she ended up falling off and dying, like, another, like, dozen times. And after that, I would tell her, like, hey, you know what? Just give up. Let yourself die. And I would just tell her to put her down her controller. So that way she doesn't accidentally catch herself again. But eventually she made it up. She made it to the Stormlight Arc. She did the dungeon, you know. I had to help her once or twice. You know, just kind of like be like, hey, you gotta go here. You know, like there's a puzzle where you have to turn 2 gears. And like one of the gears is already turning, so you have to get the other one to turn. And the game, right, it doesn't give you like a block or anything to attach. Instead, you have to use an icicle. And she just couldn't, right, she just wasn't thinking about the icicles. Because the icicles don't actually show that you can attach them until you knock them off the wall. Before they just show up as background objects. So I had to help her there. I had to help her with like one other thing. But you know, she mostly figured out the rest by herself. She figured out the lasers. There was a bit where she had to go, like, underground that I had to... Oh, yeah, there was a bit where you have to, like, go underground to, like, the bottom floor. And you're basically just supposed to, like, jump off and go into, like, this hole. And I had to be like, oh, yeah, you know, just go over there. But she figured out the rest. And she's at the boss fight. But she hasn't actually fought the boss. So she has no idea what's in store for her. I did tell her that... I didn't tell her Colgera's name. But I told her that Colgera is the easiest boss fight. Because, you know, I feel like you can tell she's gotten better as she's gone through the games. Maybe, admittedly, part of it is that Tears of the Kingdom boss fights are easier. Like, the Blights in Breath of the Wild are a lot harder. But you can tell she's gotten better. And Colgera is the easiest boss fight. As long as she can figure out that you have to jump through him... Right, you have to, like, shoot yourself like a bullet through his heart. As long as she can figure that out and she doesn't try to, like, fight it from the ground, I think she'll be fine. Because I think Colgera is a great boss. He's stupid easy, but he's really cool. Right, one of the most satisfying things in the game is smashing through his heart as you glide down. It's just so cool. And I hope she, you know, I guess I'll find out next week whether she did it or not. But that's kind of where I'm leaving her. Because, you know, I had to come home and then I had to do this podcast. But yeah, no, you know, she's making good progress. I would say she's about halfway through the game. If I had to guess, admittedly, I know a lot less about Tears of the Kingdom than I do Breath of the Wild. Like, I know way more about Breath of the Wild, and I could, like, definitively tell her, like, hey, you're now, like, a third of the way through the game. Hey, you're now halfway through the game. And Tears of the Kingdom, I have no idea. But if I had to guess, I'd say she's about halfway. She's almost finished her... She's got, like, 1 point left on the... No, maybe she's got 2 points left on the map. She doesn't have much. She's got 2 points left on the map, maybe. She's discovered all the towns at this point. She hasn't done anything in Goron, kind of like the first game. She discovers Goron City very early on, and then just ignores it for most of the game. Same thing here. She discovered Goron City pretty early on, and then she's just ignored it. Plus she's gonna need money to buy flame-resistant gear, but, you know, you'll get there when she gets there. Okay, I'll admit she's barely explored the depths. At some point she went down and she got the purple thing, you know, the power that the auto build power. I don't know when she did that sometime in the past week. But other than that, she really hasn't done right. She hasn't explored much of the underground. But admittedly, you don't have to explore much of the underground to beat the game. I think As far as I know, you only have to do the, stuff with, you have to do the stuff with Minora, and you have to do the stuff with Koga, and that's it. Oh, and of course the temple and the underground, dungeons, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah, no, I guess she's mostly stuck to the surface. She hasn't done much in the sky either, but what you gonna do? Because I've looked at her map. She's got enough stamina to pull the Master Sword. So she's just got to get the memories. I think she's got more than half. I think she's only missing like 4. Because she showed me a picture of the map. And, you know, when you go with Impa to go to the chasm, where you get the map of all the geoglyphs, she's been there now. So she has that map. Because the only reason she knows to do geoglyphs is because I told her to. My own mother. Yep, my own mother plays video games. Or at least, you know, she's trying. Right. Yeah, she's relative, you know, she's big into, you know, she wants to experience a lot of different things. So she's, you know, she's been into books. She's been reading ACOTAR, and oh my god, I failed her. If I'm being honest, I failed her because she's reading ACOTAR and there was nothing I could do to stop her. But you know, she's playing Zelda, so you know what you're gonna do. So what else do I have to talk about? I swear. Have I talked about Make Some Noise recently? So, the Dropout show, Make Some Noise, has a new season. And honestly, it's been fantastic. The most recent episode with, Vic, it's Vic, Giovanni, and I can't remember who else. Yeah, you know, most I think that, you know, of a certain era, okay, so with parents playing video games, watching my mother play through Breath of the Wild, I've come to the realization that there's a lot of stuff in gaming that we take for granted. That, you know, the idea of moving around with one stick and moving the camera with a different stick, you know, it's second nature to it comes so easily to us, right? Like, we just know that, right? That's how, when you pick up a new game, that's just something you know. But to people who didn't grow up playing video games, or like my mother hasn't played a video game, not counting like Mario Kart, she has not played a video game since the NES, because she had an NES as a kid. Not as a kid, as like a teenager. Yeah, she had an NES. So right outside of that, she really hasn't played that many video games. So like moving a camera and moving a character with 2 different sticks is something that's completely foreign to her. Right? Things like you'll see a giant glowing target and you'll be like, oh, well, I know I have to hit that because it's glowing, right? Like the language of video games that we just know because we've been playing for 20 plus years. At least in my case, I've been playing for like 20-something years. She has no idea about, right? So she'll come across a room with like a giant glowing target, and she'll have no idea what to do. But like I see it and I just instantly pick that up. But right, yeah, when you're a kid, you're developing, and you just learn all these things. And now, you know, she's trying to figure it out way later in life. And like, yeah, she's definitely gotten better, right? Like, there is an element of when she first started Breath of the Wild, it would be like giving Breath of the Wild to like a 5-year-old, right? They'd have very similar experiences. She's very objective driven. Like, if the game tells her, like, hey, go to X, she'll just beeline it to X, make no stops along the way. In Breath of the Wild, she ended up talking to an NPC on the side of the road, and it attacked her. So after that, she never wanted to talk to an NPC ever again, right? It made her scared to talk to NPCs because she'd never know when one would be an enemy. And, you know, she mostly tries to avoid combat. So, right, like, she barely she has done no side quests in both games. Like, when she got to Terrytown, I was there when she got to Terrytown in the second game, and I told her, like, hey, in the first game, this was, like, a major side quest, but you didn't do the side quest, but hey, don't worry about it, right? You're here anyways. I said the same thing about the house, right? When she got to Link's house in Kakariko, I was like, yeah, because I think I told her in the first game, like, hey, do you want to buy a house? And she was like, no. And then in the second game, I was like, hey, here's Link and Zelda's house. You can go here because you bought it in the first game, even though you didn't actually buy it in the first game. Right? I made jokes like that. Yeah, she's very like, you know, there's the sense in games like Breath of the Wild and Fallout 4, there's a sense of, like, wonder, of exploration. But because, you know, she grew up with games on the NES and the Atari 2600, she's very objective-driven, right? It's like it's like watching a movie, right? You go to A and B because that's what the next plot point says. Whereas, like, if you or me were to play that game, we would, you know, make stops, we would explore, we would see what secrets are there. Right, she's found, between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, she has found maybe 12 Koroks. Because she just doesn't explore, right? She doesn't think to pick up rocks to find Koroks. Because that's just not in her, right? That's just something that I know, because it's what the game says. She just doesn't think of that. Right, that's just not in her video game vocabulary. And to be fair, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it's just all, like, I feel like I could write a book about this. Like, hey, how my mother plays video games. A guide to game design for people who don't play video games. Because there are definitely a lot of things I have noticed, both from, like, watching her play, but also from, like, how video games are designed and lead you towards certain objectives. Like how video games get you to do X, Y, or Z. Not by telling you to do them, but like trying to infer them. And how easy it is to miss these things. Because she's missed so many tutorials. Right? Like, I feel like Breath of the Wild is very, like, hands-off when it comes to tutorials. It doesn't actually tell you that much. And then in Tears of the Kingdom, she just walked past them all. Because she didn't talk to any of the NPCs on the Great Sky Islands, because, you know, she's scared to talk to NPCs. I don't know, I feel like that's the reason I keep talking about this every week, is just because I think it's so interesting. Like, if I had it my way, I would have her over here every week, and instead of me streaming Splatoon or whatever, she would be playing Zelda on stream, and I'd be, like, guiding her through it, because I think it is so entertaining. Right? It can be frustrating, but I think it's super entertaining. But, nah, that's probably not gonna ever happen. But yeah, no, I think she's over halfway through the game. So just giving a glance. Alright, anything else I can think? I know I've got something else in my notes that I'll have to check here in a second. But, you know, we're in the middle of something, so I'm gonna check it. Did I do any food stuff this week? No, I mean, I had that salted caramel thing from Days, It'd be cute, I bet. I'd love to see her play Pikmin. That's probably, after she beats Zelda, I'm probably gonna recommend Pikmin to her next. Because I would just see, you know, there's so many good clips of people playing Pikmin for the first time and finding out that they can't swim, that I would love to see her try Pikmin. And it's really easy to, because, like, she has her own Switch, but she hasn't bought any games for it because I've been lending them to her. Admittedly, you know what else both my parents play games. My father knows a little bit more, right? He's not as experienced as, like, me or my brothers, but he knows a little bit about games. And, Geometry Dash, yeah, right. And they've been playing It Takes Two. You know, Game of the Year winner in 2022, It Takes Two. the co-op game about, you know, divorced parents. My parents have been playing that game, and they actually beat it earlier this week. It took them almost a year to beat it, but they did actually successfully beat it with no input from me. Like, I'm helping my mother through Zelda. I didn't do anything, right? Nothing. They were all on their own, because I think my brother recommended that to them. And admittedly, you know, you'd hope, like, oh, in the same way that I helped my mother, right, do that, he'd help his parents get through that. No. But yeah, no, they beat It Takes Two earlier this week, working together. And now they're thinking about starting up Portal 2. Same with my parents. My dad knows a little bit more than my mom because of the older brother. Both of my parents suck at. My father mostly plays racing games. Like, that's what he loved Need for Speed back on the PS2. He loved Spy Racer and whatnot. I'm sure he'd love Forza Horizon 5. No, he mostly on the Switch, he's mostly been playing the Hot Wheels racing game, Hot Wheels Hot Pursuit or whatever. And I know he's beaten that game. I know he's beaten a few other things, but yeah. No, he mostly plays racing games. But they beat It Takes Two, and now they're thinking about starting up Portal 2. So yeah. I don't know, that's all. No, he is not. Again, they only have a Switch. Admittedly, they each have their own Switch. Alright, but yeah, they only have a Switch. But I'm sure he'd love Forza. Or whatever, what's the PlayStation one called? I don't remember. Yeah, that's mostly his thing. You know, Mario Kart. Of course, he's put a bunch of time into Mario Kart. Alright, so let's see, what else do I have on my notes? My Adventures with Superman. So, we're 2 episodes away from the finale. Yeah, most of the racing games on Switch are just like, it's the Hot Wheels racing game. Oh, it's the Lego racing game. You know, cartoony stuff like that. Cruise and Blast. But, you know, that works for him, I guess. Yeah, so My Adventures with Superman. Great show. We only have 2 episodes left. Episode 8 was really interesting. So Episode 8 was all about Superman is captured by Brainiac, and Brainiac's trying to, like, mess with his head to, like, manipulate him so that way he can take control of him, right? Because I know people hate evil Superman, mind control Superman. I'll be honest, I think mind control Superman is one of those things you can only do once in a show, right? There's a rule in storytelling that stories are only allowed one convenience. You get one convenience and that's it. I feel like in Superman, you only get one brainwashed Superman. And yeah, you know, in the classic 90s animated show, they had Darkseid brainwash Superman to make him think he's Darkseid's son. In this show, it's Brainiac who mind controls Superman and takes control of his body. And it's super interesting, man, because they go inside Superman's, like, memories, and Brainiac realizes, like, oh, Superman's biggest strength, but also his biggest weakness, is Lois and Clark, or is Lois and Jimmy. So he starts manipulating Superman's memories to, like, be like, oh, well, guess what? Lois actually hates you. And he shows him all of these fake memories. And Superman's like, no, none of this happened. I know this is fake. And then he sprinkles in the one real memory. The one time where Lois and Clark fought. And is like, well, you know that's real. And if that one's real, then the rest must be real as well. It's fucking evil, man. And God, I do like the show's interpretation of Brainiac. I think it works well. And I think this moment's really good. Meanwhile, you know, Jimmy and Kara and Lois are trying to rescue him. Kara defeats... There's a moment where you think he gets free. Because Kara defeats the Brainiac robot. And it looks like he breaks out. It looks like all's well that ends well. And nope, he's still in the hole. He's still in the dream. And there's just this heartbreaking moment where, you know, you see he's running back to Ma and Pa, and nope, he's still on, he thinks he's on Krypton, he thinks he's running to Jor-El and Laura, and it's just heartbreaking. God, the show's so good. And yep, so now we have evil Superman, who's not wearing shoes and doesn't have a shirt, and I don't know why that's the first thing that stood out to me, but he beats up Kara, throws Kara, Jimmy, and Lois out into space, and now he's gonna go take over Earth. So, right, that's what the next episode's leading towards, is that he's gonna go take over Earth, and, you know, Kara, Jimmy, and Lois are gonna try to find a way to stop him. This is eventually gonna bring in a clash with Amanda Waller, and the, what are the robots called? The Metallos. I hope Steel comes back. Like, they set up Steel earlier on in the season, and it was really cool, because I really like Steel, and I hope he comes back. I hope when evil Superman shows up, and they, like, put together a team to, like, stop him, basically, one of those people is John Henry Irons, who's, you know, either has made a new Steel suit or something, and he's gonna help them stop evil Superman. I hope something like that happens, because that'd be really cool. But no, there is a part of me that wishes they had spent a little less time in space, because I feel like the past, like, 4 episodes have all been in space, and it might have only been, like, 3, but the show has definitely slowed down a little bit once we got to space, whereas before, because this has definitely been a slightly slower season, but I still enjoy it. Do I enjoy it as much as season 1? Probably not, but it's like going from Kung Fu Panda 2 to Kung Fu Panda 3. Right, there's definitely a change, but it's not a major change. Oh god, they announced Shrek 5 over the weekend. Or, you know, sometime in the past week. Shrek 5 comes out on my birthday in 2 years. Yay, I know what I'm doing now. Can I be honest? There is a part of me that's actually like, you know what, Shrek 5 might not be bad. Because, like, because within, like, 2 weeks, we're also getting Toy Story 5. And if I'm honest, I don't give a shit about Toy Story 5. I could care less about Toy Story 5. But I'm genuinely interested to see what they're going to do for Shrek 5. And I think it's... I saw people wondering, like, why do people not care about Toy Story 5, but are excited for Shrek 5? And I think it's all Puss in Boots. If Puss in Boots: The Last Wish hadn't come out, I would probably feel the same way about both movies. But the fact that Puss in Boots came out and it was so good makes me think that, yeah, Shrek 5 is going to be good. Yeah, why Toy Story 5? I've never even seen Toy Story 4. Honestly, I never saw Toy Story 4 on principle. Oh, someone disconnected. That sucks. But yeah, no, I was just like, I'm not going to watch Toy Story 4. This is not a movie that needed to exist. But even though, you know, Shrek 3 was bad, Shrek 4 is actually decent. And I think there's enough there that they could do a Shrek 5. Admittedly, I'd have no idea what they're going to do. I hope they take more influence from Puss in Boots, because Puss in Boots was fantastic. You know, let me see Old Man Shrek. I know Shrek 4 was kind of like one last adventure sort of thing, but I feel like they could do one last adventure in Shrek 5. Because they're bringing back Mike Myers, they're bringing back Eddie Murphy, right? Whole cast, we know Puss in Boots is going to be in it again, and after that movie was so good. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential. And yeah, anything else I got to talk about? I talked about Game Changer, right? Game Changer was good. Or Make Some Noise has been pretty... The most recent episode was fantastic. A fantastic episode. I've been watching Escape the Kitchen, which is the new Try Guys show. Also pretty good. I loved Crime Scene Kitchen, which is just like a fun little stupid baking show where people have to like solve a crime to find the mystery dessert. Yeah, Escape the Kitchen is like a escape room kitchen show. It's actually kind of fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Alright, so I guess that takes us to our outro. So let's pull our prize machine. Yeah, let's pull our prize machine. No whammies. Give me a second. Alright, let's see what we're gonna get. I think we've got a few pulls. Yeah, okay, we've got like 4. Yeah, I'm gonna end off here in a few minutes. You know, we're gonna pull from the prize machine, and then I want to go check out the different Splatfest things, and then yeah, we're probably gonna end off. Oh hey, we got an emote. Okay, we didn't get anything that good from the prize machine. That kind of sucks. Yeah, that sucks when you don't get anything good from the prize machine. So yeah, let's go check out the Splatfest stuff. I think it's on Netflix. At least the new version is. I don't know where you can watch the original, but I think it's on Netflix. Love that stupid ice cream man. Oh, I didn't even notice the chocolate syrup. They should have given him sunglasses. That would have been funny. Given the great Zapfish like sunglasses. So we saw their new outfits. Right, is this a go-go dress? Go-go, a tube tank? I don't know, it kind of reminds me of something like that. And then the suspenders over here. Don't know how I feel about the haircut, but I think the suspenders works with the boots and everything. So that's a fun look. I don't think they did anything special for Pearl or Marina. Actually, wait, real quick. Let's check the stores real quick over here. Squidma. Oh my god. Okay, we got a few things. I have not spent money in a while in this game because there's never anything good. Oh wow, we got a bunch of stuff. Okay. No, there's never anything here. And no new shirts. What a shame. So, coming up for the stream in the future. So, normally, right, it's always just, oh, here's the new episode of In Chat every Friday night. And, you know, that's still the same. But I actually do think we're going to play a different video game for once. I was looking at the schedule. Yeah, see, like, they just gave her a hat and her a visor. But other than that, this is just their normal outfit. So they didn't really do anything special for Pearl or Marina. But in a previous Splatfest, they did actually get a special outfit, so, yeah. So, I want to say on July 21st, I think that's the date I had picked, I do have a special stream planned. July 21st is Pikmin 4's 1-year anniversary, so I think we're going to stream Pikmin 4 on that day. My plan is going to be to try to beat the entire game in a single sitting. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. So that is coming up. I don't think that's not next Sunday, but I think that's the Sunday after that. So there's the lemon outfit. Looks okay. There's the watermelon outfit. Man, that's perfect. The watermelon outfit is perfect. Oh my gosh. So I talked about this at the very beginning of the stream. How I did some cleaning recently. You know, just some summer cleaning. And as part of my cleaning, I actually, I moved around some of my amiibos. Man, Big Man is such a big amiibo. It was hard to find a place to put Big Man because he was so big. But him and that Guardian, that stupid Guardian amiibo, they just take up so much space. And it was really hard to put them anywhere. But I eventually got them to fit. I didn't sell any of my amiibos. I was just doing some cleaning in the house. Man. Yeah, so we're going to do a Pikmin stream on... I think that's a Sunday. Again, I think it's not next... Is it not? It might be next Sunday. It might be a week from Sunday. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, it is a week from Sunday. So not this weekend, but next weekend. The plan is to do a Pikmin stream. At least that's my goal at the moment. The Blueberry outfit's okay. I think the Blueberry and Lemon outfits are okay. They're not big changes at all, actually. They're mostly just hair changes. But the Watermelon's just so cute. And then they just straight up did give Pearl and Marina new outfits. Or Callie and Maria, I mean. But yeah, no, yeah, it'll be nice to play Pikmin 4 again for a little bit. I don't know, we'll talk about it more when we get on the actual date. But that's my plan. Hopefully we'll be able to do it all within a single day. That's the goal anyways, to beat the entire game. Even if it takes me like 12 hours, which it might, because I'm not that fast. I still think we'll be able to do it. So there's this person on Twitter, I want to say they go by Puffer, and their whole account is they make fake Pikmin 4 leaks. At least that's something they've been doing recently. It's like, oh, here's a fake Pikmin 4 leak. And they made a fake Pikmin 4 like town square plaza area. I think the blue and the yellow contrast so well. The blue on the fingers and the blueberries in the hair. Yeah, that's good contrast. But they made a fake Pikmin 4 like hub area based on Epcot. Like the big, like I think the idea of a Pikmin 4 area, because you know the original Pikmin area is based on Shibuya. I think it's based on Shibuya. It's based on somewheres in Japan. You know, Tokyo Tower. The Pikmin 2 the Splatoon 2 area is based on New York. It's based on Times Square. And then I want to say this game's area is based on... Is it based on... It's either Thailand or Beijing or something like that. I don't exactly remember, but it's something like that. Yeah, like Thailand or Beijing or... It's one of those cities. I think the idea of basing a Pikmin hub area on Disneyland is a fantastic idea. Where, you know, the Epcot ball in the center or the Magic Mountain is based on, you know, right, that's based on, right, Epcot or whatever. I think that's a great idea. So while the leak is entirely fake, because obviously, right, that's the whole guy's whole gimmick. Guy, girl, they, them. I still think it's a funny idea. Yeah, that's for sure. I still think it's a good idea. I know we have Wahoo World, which is based on, you know, an amusement park. But I think a hub area based on an amusement park is a very fun idea. I don't know. I'm of two minds. Because on one hand, I could see them being like, hey, new Switch, let's do Splatoon 4. I think that's a very logical decision to make. But, on the other hand, I could see them just being like, hey, pay us $10 for the upgraded version of Splatoon 3. I think either option is completely possible. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. But gosh dang it, do I love these games. And yeah, I know some people would be mad at Pikmin 4. Hey look, it's got the Paradise Pier song. So this is where it went after they removed it from the Incredicoaster. For the Pixar Pier. Such a dumb joke. What was I saying? I could see it going either way. I could see them trying to stretch another 2 years out of Splatoon 3. But I could see them being like every other Call of Duty or Battlefield or whatever, where they try to put out a yearly release. Because that's what most other, shooters do. Splatoon's kind of the exception rather than the rule. So you never know. Yeah, I think that's it for tonight. I think this is where I'm going to end off. But yeah, next week we'll be back with that. And then, yeah, we're going to do a Pikmin stream. And I feel like every summer I always say like, oh, I want to get so much done. I want to do so many streams, blah, blah, blah. I want to play so many games. And then I just don't do shit. Like, sometime this month, I really have to play Super Mario RPG. I really want to play Super Mario RPG, but no matter what I do, I just can't bring myself to do it. No, instead I keep playing stupid Pokemon. And I keep doing stupid Pokemon. I try another Nuzlocke, which ultimately ends in defeat, because my entire stupid team is weak to steel types, god damn it. And I didn't even realize it, and then the best Pokemon on my team got killed by the 4th Elite Four member. And now I have to go fight the final boss without it, and it's like, shit. That just ruins my entire plans, because they were the best guy on my team who was going to destroy the champion. But nope, that's out of the picture now. Ah, God, I hate Nuzlocks. I hate Nuzlocks. Ah. Alright, so this is where I'm ending off. It was good to see ya. We'll be back here next week. Same time, same place, with more Splatoon. And then after that, Pikmin. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.